we need to burn the system down because the people who are in these positions have betrayed the public trust. I would personally, again, this is just me, but I would imprison all of them after a fair trial.
Okay, let's actually talk about this for a little bit. This is actually something that's really interesting and difficult.
Yeah.
So you are someone who came. You're not like a classical conservative. You're not like some
No,
like
I don't even
Edmund Burke guy.
I don't consider myself a conservative at all.
Right, and yet.
I mean, I know everybody calls me like, a Nazi alt-right. Like, I'm just somebody who looks at evidence and makes reasonable inferences based upon the evidence I have to public policies. Like, I honestly do not consider myself a conservative, but I'm just inured. I'm immune at this point to people saying, "Oh, Boghossian's a conservative." It's just not true.
But I bring that
if
up.
you can self-identify as a woman, why can't I self-identify? I mean, that's the whole crazy thing about it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I can self-identify. Politics is certainly more immutable than the size of your gametes.
Yeah.
So there's some threads that are happening here.
Yeah.
One of them is that the Saves America part. Why? Why do I want to save America? Why do I think it needs saving?
Yeah. Why do you want to save America?
I think that there's, first of all, I live here and I have a son and I have a wife and I want a future that's good. I do think fundamentally that America, for all its problems, and I should say specifically the United States of America, was really the peak of the Enlightenment.
Agreed.
Made manifest as government, as governance, as a place, as a set of rules, as a set of understandings that were shared.
Let me summarize for you, and you tell me if you agree. We should be, and we were, the shining city upon a hill.
100%. I completely agree with that. I think one of the things that's been happening for me personally is the only ism, aside from Catholicism, which I want to come back to later in our conversation, so you can beat up on my
or you could beat up on my atheism.
Yeah, so we can spar on religion, which is important for us to talk about together. But I don't think I'm a conservative. I don't think I'm a liberal. I don't think I'm a classical liberal anymore. I think the closest I have in my political worldview is I'm an Americanist. I like and why do I say that?
Yeah, what is that, first of all?
To me, it's a vision for a kind of living in a political environment. Because we can't escape politics. It's the rules of the road for the place you live. That says this: government exists to protect your right to be a free person, first and foremost, and really singularly. Number one. Number two, that kind of vision of limited government. The Bill of Rights is all Congress shall pass no law X. Or like my favorites are like the 9th and 10th Amendments, which are basically like anything we haven't listed, just in case you weren't clear. If we didn't list it, it goes back to the states or to the people. Just to be sure. Just in case you thought maybe that we left something out and therefore we can do it. You can't. That kind of limited government, even when it's written down on paper, must be for and by and preserved by essentially something like a moral people. A people who believe that in their heart. Like the economist James Buchanan talks about this as the Constitution
Correct.
In us. It's not on paper.
Yeah.
It's in us. And so that sentiment, all men are created equal, and therefore we need to have a limited government that sets these equal men and women up to thrive. That's Americanism, and I'm that. All of that. And I think that's worth fighting for. And so now we're at this moment, and I know I'm monologuing for those of you that wish I would shut up.
No,
so I'm sorry.
No, I'm processing.
But I think what is interesting to me is I like where we are so far with the Trump administration. I'm not hesitant about that.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked by how much I like it.
Well, and I want to hear that. but also when we get to a zone that's like burn the system down,
Yep.
the system, smash it all to pieces. I would like a strip it down to the studs, but keep the studs. I want a sledgehammer, not a wrecking ball, but I want a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of dust. We're gonna bust through the plaster. We're gonna rip it all out, and there's those beautiful studs. And then we're gonna start to, dare I say, build back better. But but that's what I want. I don't know if we can have that. I don't know if that's a path that like is possible. But when it's just like when you said smash it all down,
Burn it all down.
burn it all down, that's a different revolution that was tried in France, and it sucked. That's the Jacobins. That's the off with all their heads. That's the yay revolution. Oops, Napoleon back to dictatorship, like that. And I think that we're gonna fly close to that sun, maybe. That French Revolution sun. If we're and I don't know how close we should fly to it. We can't be that far. We need to be closer to that than we were. So
I'm going to tell you, and really be sincere. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you my reflections on what you just said, and
Please.
if they're not direct enough, tell me. No, but really, because I'm trying to. I try to increasingly as I get older. I try to use these conversations. I try to think in real time, so I'm not like memorizing any script here. I'm just trying to think out loud. I think it just makes it more interesting too.
you're like Jordan Peterson giving a speech.
Yeah, well, that's where I got that from.
close
I've
my
been
eyes.
doing
I'm
that.
gonna-
I've been doing
think
that for
it's real
5
time.
years. He said people don't want to go to see what you've already worked out. They want to see you work out things in real time. So when you talked about what an Americanism is, like for me, what an American is there's something about cognitive liberty that's so important to me. Like we need to allow people to believe, to be free in their thoughts, in their spirit. We need to allow people to lead any kind of lives they want to lead, and that includes things that we might really disagree upon. Now, there are caveats in that, provided it's with a consenting adult, and provided they're over 18. I mean, there are some. I think those are the only two basics I can. Or maybe they have to have basic cognitive wherewithal. You know, they can't be suffering from some like extreme cognitive malady.
Full adult agency.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we need that, and I think my concern increasingly. Well, the left is a complete disgrace, right? They tell you exactly what to think, and they capture the academic
They
institutions.
offer no value.
Yeah, they're worse than worthless. They're actually a harm to the way I view America, and I think the way you view America. My concern
It
is
wasn't
that
always that way.
no, it's in fact quite the opposite. I saw a wonderful photo. It was like Trump, wonderful tweet: Trump, Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, and the caption was "The Democrats won the election." Because the other people went to crazy town, but I think that to me cognitive liberty is vital, like freedom of association, freedom of press, basic freedoms, and I'm now worried on the Republican side of the slide to Christian nationalism. I'm worried that they're constructing echo chambers in which they use the tactics of many of the left, the kind of cancellation, the viciousness. I mean, I won't make any secret of it. I just had an event canceled of mine, two events now, paid events, because they're upset with my writing partner, James Lindsay. And so they just canceled the event. So they're using the same tactics instead of saying, okay, well, let's we're going to change.
Because he's been a critic of the woke right.
Yeah, so it's, what I would have done and say, okay, we don't like this. I'm getting a lot of heat, but you know what? We're going to have you debate.
Yeah.
We don't like the fact that you're hanging out with this guy, or you published a book with him, or our collaboration has been hyper prolific. We're going to have you debate to justify it. I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll debate anything. Like, my rule for debating, just by the way, is as long as you haven't harassed me, I will debate you. I just debated all the UHCX kids today for like literally 2 hours.
Awesome.
About God, you'd like that. But so that was the first thing you said. And the second thing you said is I think that there's something, and this is one of the lessons I've learned in the last year and I've been thinking a lot about. When you talked about the construction of societies, you didn't use those words, but when you talked about America, when you talked about as I reflect on the conversation, I think one of the most important principles upon which we can build an entire society is, are the means of error correction preserved? Is it possible to make a critique?
Yeah.
Political correctness, blasphemy laws, particularly in Islamic countries, the means of error correction have been disabled.
Well, right.
Yeah.
That's actually really, that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. So this, like, you could construct a whole civilization based upon this.
If you like this clip, we've got so much more where that came from. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss our new videos as they come out each week.